issue on the African scene, the politics of succession in Africa, and the crisis of stability and power. How critical is this?
Police arrested 4 people for the violence in Johannesburg, while 8 others were arrested.
With the closure of schools as a result of the COVID-19 scare, analysts say ignoring the education sector would be disastrous. As schools world over gradually reopen, especially in the West, for Africa, temporary schools closure comes with a very high social and economic cost, with severe impact on children from disadvantaged backgrounds. Now, what are the challenges and how can they be drastically mitigated? These are the things we'll be looking at on today's edition of The Agenda. Join us after the break. My name is Henry Williams.
Many people long for success. They desire to do something with their lives, to make a difference in society, to become famous, or to become great. We all have the want to move from ordinary to extraordinary, to make the leap from good to great, to turn the seed of greatness that is in us into a fruitful field, and to fulfill the call of God upon our lives. From Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakhilome comes this new and riveting book, The Power of Your Mind. Do you want to do something extraordinary with your life? See, God has given you an excellent tool to use in your journey of greatness. It is called your mind. Learn how to walk in divine excellence through the power of a renewed mind. Get your copy of The Power of Your Mind today.
The Bible says, "The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous." But why are the righteous destroyed with the wicked? How could a nation be held bound by corruption? When is the right time to stop interceding? Will you be that agent of change in your nation? Find out your responsibility as an intercessor and how to exercise dominion in your intercession.
This is God's Spirit bringing this message to you. It's a timely message for you. Doesn't matter which country, which city you're in. It's timely for you today.
The Power of Intercession is a 2-part audio by Pastor Chris, and it's available for download at the Pastor Chris Digital Library app on Google Play Store and Apple App Store. Also available on audio CD and MP3 format. You can call the numbers now displayed on your screen to order your copies. God bless you.
All right, glad to have you join us on another edition of The Agenda. And this time around, our discussion revolves around education. Education and COVID-19 in Africa, and seeing the way to tackle or bridge the digital divide. There is a wide gap right now present between the West and Africa as the world goes digital, especially in these climes when COVID-19 has created or actually brought up another challenge in the education sector. Is Africa going to be left behind? These are the questions we're going to ask, or we're working on playing catch up. Well, on today's edition of the show, I will be having Beulah Marshall. She is not here in the studio, but she's standing by via Skype, and she chooses to maintain a distance. I think it gives her more power, but no doubt it will not diminish her insights and what she has to share with us on today's edition of the show. And so we will be hooking up with her much later. But I'd like to put this out there that you can watch us on the go at www.loveworldplus.tv, or you can download our app from any of the online stores, and it's Love World Plus. You can also watch us from the harmonious and beautiful comfort of your home and using the strong decoder and the settings you will find on our website. Right now, to set the ball rolling, look at the challenge education in Africa faces as the lockdown eases and we see a new dimension presented to us. Let's take this report and we'll be right back. amidst ongoing closures caused by the pandemic of fear as a result of the COVID-19 spread. Nearly 1.3 billion students worldwide and an estimated 46 million students in Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, alone. UNESCO, UNICEF, WFP warned that the widespread closures of educational facilities in response to the COVID-19 pandemic present an unprecedented risk to children's education and well-being, particularly for the most marginalized children who rely on school for their education, health, safety, and nutrition. The guidelines offer practical advice for national, local authorities on how to keep children safe when they return to school.
As the IMF recently reported, global income is expected to contract sharply this year. This could throw 100 million more people into extreme poverty around the world. In short, the poor will grow poorer, and the ranks of the poorest will grow larger. Children's health will suffer as systems buckle under the strain of COVID. Their nutrition will suffer as the cost of food goes up and families struggle to get by. 1.5 billion children are out of school, threatening their futures. They face mental health issues as the stress and worry of their families spread to them. They're threatened by potential abuse, violence, and exploitation in their homes and online. Girls and women are particularly vulnerable, facing rising threats of violence, teenage pregnancy, and even child marriage. And the children living through conflicts are at a double disadvantage, as already weak health, education, and social systems are shattered by both the fighting and COVID-19. But the report also offers recommendations on what we can do as a global community to help children and communities recover.
The new guidelines note that while there's not yet enough evidence to measure the impact of school closures on disease transmission rates, the adverse effects of school closures on children's safety and learning are well documented. Gains made in increasing access to children's education in recent decades risk being lost and, in the worst cases, reversed completely. Schools must look at how they can reopen better with improved learning and more comprehensive support for children at the school, including health, nutrition, psychological support, and water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities. The situation has clearly caught majority of the continent's leaders napping and will require concerted effort and political will to salvage the future of children. All right, and that report sets the pace. A lot of information coming there. The vulnerability of children, especially in these times. There are children who depend on going to school before they can eat. Children out of school has long been a reality, especially in Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, with the education sector, which has about 13.2 million schools, 13.2 million school-age children out of school. And this is in spite of the fact that 9 years of basic education is free. And now we have the issue of distancing and the lockdown bringing a new challenge on board. There's so much to talk about. And so we'll have Beulah Marshall standing by. Hello, Beulah, are you there? Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, fantastic. Beulah is an educationist, a professional, and an entrepreneur. And your insights, Beulah, in this discussion will be invaluable. There is no doubt a serious challenge posed, by the COVID-19 fiasco, if I may put it that way. And right now, schools are posed with a different dimension of education that probably, most likely, the whole continent did not prepare for, because I can't say the same for the West, because they've always been pushing for digital education, online education. It's always been in the mix. It's as if this is just a script that has been written. The fact is we didn't actually read between the lines, and here we are right now, and we just have to, respond.
Okay, I call it the new reality in education. Like you said, the general knowledge about the West is that they've been pushing for online education long before now. Even here in Nigeria, we've had that system long before now. But like you said, we didn't read in between the lines to know that this system was going to be useful in the shortest of time. We didn't plan for it. Nobody planned for what is happening. But the truth of the matter is that it has confronted us, and it's our new reality, and we have to face it. We have to deal with it. No matter what happens, learning has to go on, despite whatever challenges or whatever situation the COVID-19 pandemic has confronted us with. Learning has to go on, and all we are doing right now is just to improvise. Bringing to life, reviving the online learning system, which has been there.
I like your spirit. You know, we just have to.
There all along.
Okay, I think we seem to have some connection issues. Okay. All right, and yeah, I like the way you've put it. We just have to respond. There is no going back on this. We must learn. Learning must continue if we are to thrive. And so, yes, it is here. So what are the options? I mean, what are professionals like you? What are you doing to adapt? What is being done right now based on what the present situation is?
Like I said earlier, we have come to embrace it. We have come to accept it. It has come to stay. It's not going anywhere. But the difference now is how you accept it might not be the same way that I will accept it. But the truth of the matter is that all the engagement of the sector platform to accept that alternative learning system is the main thing, is the main thing, is the game right now, because children will have to learn. There are several online learning platforms that have been in the system before now, but the beauty of this whole chaos is the change. I would say they have come to rescue, or rather to help the.
All right, and yeah, Beulah will definitely come back there, but this does provide the opportunity for us to open the phone lines and have you call in on the show and actually register your own concerns on this. This is a critical sector. Education cannot be dismissed, cannot be ignored. It would be a major blunder, a major mistake if government would make plans and actually sideline or keep education out of it, because without education we can't move forward. And yes, in every sector it needs the education sector to be up and running. Well, that's a serious concern, especially with the issue of funding. Funding is a very big issue. Many people have talked about funding. Many stakeholders have decried the kind of funding that comes from government to education. We need to understand, yes, the budget for education is about 7%. And 7% really pales beside what UNESCO says every nation should be allocating to education, which is roughly about 15%. So you can see that we are really scratching the surface here, talking about our investment in education and showing our seriousness to actually ensure that education remains something on the front burner. Now, because it's so wide, education is so wide, it is difficult for us to actually capture all the challenges right now in one show. So we're going to be breaking this down. And as we hopefully get Beulah Marshall back online for her to discuss, she will be discussing more about, when we have about 4 branches, which is early childhood education, we have primary education, we have secondary education, also have the higher education, vocational, and tertiary, as it says. Okay, let's understand. Beulah is back. Beulah, great to have you back. And,
Thank you.
And you, as you said, no going back. Connections can't stop us now because we are airborne. So let's talk, let's discuss these matters. You know, I was just trying to tell the viewers that, you know, education is so wide and so dynamic. We cannot capture every challenge and every, you know, discussion in just one show. So we're going to be taking it from maybe a perspective to continue later, probably where you have your expertise, which is in the early education and I believe primary, thereabout. So, Beulah, as you were saying.
Okay, as much as I said earlier that the online, the alternative we have come to embrace it, but it has its own challenges as well, especially in my own sector, the early years education. The problem there now is the concept of early years is playway. That's the basic, okay? Everything we do in early year, every pedagogy we approach, we implement in the early year system is basically on playway. But having online learning system right now is going to be a little difficult for us to implement or for us to adopt or for us to use that pedagogy because it's going to be hard for you to get that the full play system that the subject that you're teaching, whatever it is that you're teaching, and in the early years we are meant to use the playway system. But the online learning system has come to stay. It has its own challenges. We might not be able to effectively practice the playway in the online learning system. So basically the early years sector of the education system will have their own, every sector has its own suffering at this point in time, okay? They have their own suffering, but the early years has its own peculiarities, and that peculiarity surrounds the pattern, the system of learning, which is the playway, and we cannot have that online.
System of learning, can we separate system of learning from the economy? I find that a very difficult challenge to separate the system from the economy. COVID-19 has impoverished more Nigerians than it has enriched, and that poses also a problem for those who will be who wants to get online actually to get this, you know, education that is made available to them by different organizations, government and private sector. The price of, you know, this, should I say, evolution is quite high, especially for those living in the rural areas. The issue of data becomes a concern, the issue of penetration, the rural areas as well. We know that government is exploring and has, you know, rolled out strategy through radio and other media outlets. But what do you think about this? Is this a legitimate concern? The economy here, it's a big problem, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a legitimate concern, and you can't separate it. Everything we do in the education sector demands money to run. The school business, you need money to run it. Whether you're running it remotely, you're live in the classroom. Every system of education needs money to run it. And like you said, the COVID-19 chaos has impoverished so many Nigerians. Okay, so I also know that there are lots of Nigerian children, okay, of learning age that don't have the advantage, or rather they're not benefiting from this online learning system. Okay, so that's a big challenge. And yes, we know the government is trying to send in some palliative, so to speak, in that regard. There's lots of program learning time scheduled on radio.
Yeah.
There is also
we have those schedules actually. You would show them up, you know, as you discussed, the schedules for the radio, you know, programs, lessons rather. Go ahead.
Yes. we have that schedule, but then, like I said, the tech world has come. They've come to our rescue by trying to give us a lot of platform, give us the soft landing in the education sector, so that as many children as possible can benefit from this online learning system. There is this organization. Their focus is rolling out funds to the education sector. I think it's a microfinance bank. I really do not have the details, but I know that they're focusing on rolling out funds to support the education sector. But they are not just only rolling out funds. The extra mile they have gone now is that they've even opened a platform where schools that cannot afford to open up an online learning system, to operate an online learning system because of funds, they can write on their platform so that those schools, those low-income schools can also benefit from that platform. They are also not just the platform that they are running, they are also, they are also sharing knowledge about how this platform can run. So there's a lot of activities, there's a lot of reform going on in the education sector to be able to, for us to have a balance. Okay, so just to answer you directly, you can't separate the economy from the learning system, and that is why the government is doing something to make up an individual of.
All right, Beulah, how realistic is this, intervention? Looking at the terrain, look at the education sector. We have, mushroom schools, springing up. We used to, before pre-COVID-19, mushroom schools springing up here and there. We use 3-bedroom flats, as for a secondary school. And, the new challenge here presents a challenge of space. You have, what you've seen online, you've seen reports and videos of where children have to distance themselves. People are using, the lobbies and as the walkways. Do we have the infrastructure to accommodate these new, guidelines that are being, reeled out to us in this part of the world? Because the West actually, as I said earlier, in their plans, there's always a plan B. We didn't have education for Africa, did not have a buffer to actually accommodate these new issues. How do we break up the schools? Do we turn some of the children back home and say, look, we cannot accommodate based on the guidelines set to us by the regulators. We can't have more than 20 children in, if we had 50 before, we can't have more than 20 in a classroom. What do we do with, the rest?
Okay, sending the children back home is not part of the option. Okay, they have rights to learning. So we should, as much as possible, give them that opportunity. So whatever new system we're going to run into when we resume, sending them back home is not going to be one of them. Now, let me say that there are lots of mushroom schools, like you said, 3-bedroom. 3-bedroom school is a big school. There are worse mushroom system schools than that of a 3-bedroom system. So one of the things that we're going to be seeing when we resume is restructuring. One of the restructuring that's going to take place is size. Okay, the size, classroom size. A classroom that has a size of maybe 15 will be expected to reduce depending on the square meter of the room. Okay, I'm not good with the square meter of the room, but an average room at a standard bedroom. Let me use the standard bedroom. A standard bedroom size should not take more than 8 learners in that size of room. Okay, then the question now is, what do we do? This is the time I feel the education sector should start talking about alliance. Okay, this is the time we have to start talking about collaboration. There are lots of talks about how to
mergers. Are you saying mergers and acquisitions, right? The way the financial sector talks about it, like merger of banks.
Exactly. If banks could merge, why not schools? Okay, we might not do the completely merging system, but the size. Okay, thinking about merging
Okay, seems we lost Beulah there, but we'll get her back. But this is the juncture where we'll be opening the phone lines very soon. And the question we'll be posing right now is it to curb the widening of the existing education inequalities. There is an onus on the Nigerian government to put in place measures to ensure continuity, inclusion, and equity for all learners during this period. And how is it going to do that? We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking with Beulah much more and bringing you more insights. Stay with us.
Why we're here, it's about these three things. We're here because of the man. We're here because of the message. We're here because of the mandate.
Who is the man, Jesus Christ? What is your conviction about his personality and purpose?
Once these three factors are clear to you, you'll be unshakable.
As you listen to this outstanding 3-series DVD, The Man, the Message, and the Mandate, your journey of life will become even more glorious.
What you have to do now is to live for Jesus. You can't live for yourself anymore. If you truly love Jesus, then you must live for him.
This DVD by Pastor Chris is available now. To order, please call the number now showing on your screen. Experience the liquid love of our Lord Jesus Christ flow in and through you. It's also available on the Pastor Chris Digital Library app on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. Are you interested to know the importance of your words? How to activate the creative power in your words? How to say the right thing at the right time? Find out in this insightful masterpiece by Pastor Chris. Discover the principle of creation and recreation.
If you're going to live the true life that God has given to you, you must line up with the Word of God. This is where the ministry of the Spirit of God is indispensable, because it's the Spirit that actually knows the codes. Hear this. You can't just prophesy. You're going to prophesy as He commands you. You need the code. God, I need the sound code. I need the sound code. Hallelujah. I need the sound code. Once you have the sound code and you hear it, creation will respond to you. Glory to God.
Tap into the wealth of divine principles and live in the future of your dreams as you learn the workable principle of sound code and the Spirit. This message is now available on DVD in a 2 volumes and 4-part series. To place your order, kindly call the following numbers now showing on the screen, or you can visit www.christembassyonlinestore.org or download through the Pastor Chris Digital Library app, available on Google Play Store and Apple iStore. You will be glad you did.
All right, great to have you back. You're still watching The Agenda, and don't forget that you can catch us on at www.loveworldplus.tv or go to any of the online stores to download our app, Love World Plus, or watch us from the confines of your beautiful home using the strong decoder with all the instructions on our website. All right, we've been talking about COVID-19 and education in Africa, bridging the digital divide. What are the challenges posed by, the lockdowns? In fact, schools have been shut down for so long. In some parts of the world, they were shut down for at least 9 months. But there was provision. There was an alternative. The West had put in place structures for Plan B. But Africa seemed to be playing catch-up right now. If you joined us before we went for that break, I was talking with a seasoned educationist, Beulah Marshall, via Skype, and she was actually giving us some insights. There have been alternatives by governments in different parts of Africa to actually ease the challenge and burden brought upon by the lockdowns on education. One of them has been information teaching on radio. We've seen that happen here in this part of the world, in Nigeria here. The Lagos State government as well has, deployed that facility for kids to learn on radio. Timetables, we can put that up so you can see some of the, what we could glean from the website of the Ministry of Education for Lagos, and where it, gives timetables for times when children can actually tune into their radios during the week, Monday to Friday, and actually get learning for different subjects, at different levels. Well, but how the question, posed is how effective, are all of these strategies, and visiting the ministry, the coordinated education response from Nigeria's Ministry of Education on the COVID-19 pandemic on the landing page of the Ministry of Education's website. Some say it's very vague and does little. We can put that up on the website of Ministry of Education. It's quite vague and does little to address the learning needs of most vulnerable and disadvantaged. We cannot, build a society that neglects the vulnerable and the weak, especially when it comes to education. It must be all-inclusive. Because if you don't do that, those who are out of education might become the problem, the challenge that you have to face much later. So education does a lot, in different ways. It helps to quell, crises. It helps to inform the public, it helps to build a knowledgeable, population, which is definitely going to be productive. And I hope I'll be told when Beulah Marshall comes online again. Okay, I'm told Beulah is online, but before I take Beulah, I'd just like you to know that we'll be opening the phone lines right now. Let's, expand this discussion. Let's hear from you. What is your experience? What are the challenges you think that should be dealt with? There are children that actually depend on families, that depend on schools, on public schools for their children to eat, and those families have actually been left out. Another question I'm being asked is, what about the teachers? At this time, are they being paid? Because they've been out of work for so long. What is the strategy? Beulah, hello. Hello, Beulah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I guess I've said a lot. I've said quite a lot already. Where do we go? Where do we start? We start with the teachers. The teachers have a lot. We have to think about the teachers as well. We talk about during this pandemic that frontline workers, need to be taken care of, need to be, their welfare needs to be looked into. Some believe that teachers also are frontline workers too. What do you think about that?
Yes, they are. The talk about the teachers, it's a two-way traffic, if I have to use that word. Now, there are teachers of government schools and there are teachers of private schools. When we're talking about the alternative learning system, it was seen that the learners in the private schools were benefiting more than the children in the public schools, which is a fact, because most of the private schools did so much, they put a lot in place, to cover that gap. But children in the public school, of which most of them are from the poor families, they are not benefiting as much as the children from the private school. Now, when it comes to the teachers, it's the other way around. The teachers of the government schools are going to be benefiting more, or rather at more advantage than the teachers of the private schools, because their salary is coming from the government. While teachers from the private schools, their salary comes only when parents pay. And it's a big, big problem. It's one of the challenges that the school is going to face when we resume. administrative challenge, one of the administrative challenges that we're going to face, most of the teachers of private schools are not being paid. They are frontline workers in this case. Most of them, in fact, I remember at the early stage when we introduced the online learning system, for 3 days I couldn't stand up from the system, from my computer. And this is, I have to help me do this work, okay? I'm not a teacher, I'm not a classroom teacher, I'm a school leader. But I had this burden, I had to stay on the system for 3 consecutive days, not non-stop. How about the teachers that are doing this job? They will suffer much more than I think I did suffer at that time, and they are not being paid. All this was 2 months, getting to 3 months, they are not in they've not been going to school. Some schools have not paid them, and some that were able to pay managed to do like a half payment or just small incentives to keep them going. Okay, this is a big challenge, and I think men should, in thinking of reformation, thinking of re-strategizing, this is part of the sector they should look into. There should be a sum of incentive or support funds to the private schools, okay, that they can use to make up in the area of paying backlog of salaries to private school teachers. I am not saying the government school teachers are not frontliners, but when it comes to their funds, payments, taking care of them, I think somehow their monies are there, is going to come to them because of the static payment from the government. Okay, so it's a challenge for the private, more of a challenge for the private school teachers.
All right.
Than that of the government school teachers.
All right. You know, there's no doubt about it. What we are facing now is meant to be novel. It's meant to be unprecedented. And there we will need some kind of expertise. And the teachers, especially in the public schools, are not trained for what we are facing right now. What kind of challenge does that pose? Shouldn't there be some kind of training package?
Definitely. I was discussing going back to school with my husband a few days ago, and he was like, and he posed the question to me. He said, are we going back to school or going back to the school? Okay, there are a lot of the public school teachers do not have this training, and that is one area that needs attention, immediate attention. Because, like I said, the alternative learning system has come to stay. Whether you're in private school or you're in government school, it's the system that has come to stay. We have accepted it and we should roll with it. So the teachers in the government school should also be at the same pace, because it's not about the teachers right now. Remember, it's about the children, it's about the learners. Whether I'm a teacher of private school primary 3 or a teacher of private school of a public school primary 3, the learners have a particular content they're supposed to cover at that primary 3 level. So every teacher of that primary 3 level should be equipped to give what a primary 3 child is supposed to have. So yes, the access knowledge that is low. So government should look into boosting up that aspect in the public school teachers. The private school teachers, they are trying. There's been a lot of training going on, and I think with government help, there will be balance. There will be, and I know they know that.
I say amen to that. I say amen to that. But you know, the question looming also is that you know, do households have the facilities to engage the children in remote learning? You know, that's a very, you know, big question. Mama is going to the market, you know, the father is, you know, a mechanic. You know, there are many issues here that this throws up. And how do you know, poor families grapple with this?
Well, it's going to be a big challenge for the home, okay, in that aspect, and that is why we are clamoring for going back to school, and that's why we are clamoring for things to be in place, government to assist for everything to be in place before we can get back up to school. A family where you have maybe 4 learners and there's only 2 through learning material through telephone, so to speak, and actually the mom has one, daddy has one, and therefore then it's going to be a lot difficult. But the way I think that there can be a balance is, before we resume, if we can boost up the tech system, the ICT system in the schools, okay? Let there be enough ICT labs, enough computers that the children can learn with. So we see a situation whereby when it comes to the tech aspect of learning, the children get it from the school, and then at home they can use the sheet, the exercise book, or the paper aspect of learning, especially for homes that they're not able to, they don't have the resources to match up the online learning system. But it's a big challenge.
Okay, Beulah, we'll have to let you go. Connections are posing a challenge for us right now. But as we wind down, there is something to actually consider. UNESCO, UNICEF, and WFP and the World Bank have new guidelines on safe reopening of schools. Let's take a look at that, a good look at that, and come back and wrap it up.
UNESCO, UNICEF, WFP and World Bank new guidelines on the safe reopening of schools. Policy reform. Policy implications address all dimensions of the guidelines, including clear policies for school opening and closure during public health emergencies. Reforms. Financing requirements. Address the impact of COVID-19 on education and invest in strengthening education systems for recovery and resilience. Safe operations. Ensure conditions that reduce disease transmission, safeguard essential services and supplies, and promote healthy behavior. Compensating learning. Focus on practices that compensate for lost instructional time, strengthen pedagogy, and build on hybrid learning models such as integrating approaches in remote and distance education. Wellness and protection. Expand the focus on students' well-being and reinforce the protection of children through enhanced referral mechanisms and the provision of essential school-based services, including healthcare and school feeding. Reaching the most marginalized. Adapt school opening policies and practices to expand access to marginalized groups, such as previously out-of-school children, displaced and migrant children, and minorities.
All right, and that short message from UNESCO, UNICEF, and the World Food Programme, WFP, gives us an idea of what government should be pursuing to ensure that we have a robust and virile education system that will survive the times that we face. The issues to be looking at are policy reform, financing requirements, safe operations, compensating learning, wellness and protection, reaching the most marginalized. 6 factors that if government should pursue should definitely keep us above board. But the question is, do we have the political will to do this? My name is Henry Williams. I'd like to thank you for staying with us on today's edition of The Agenda. It's been great having you. I want to say big thanks to Beulah Marshall, who joined me via Skype and had to go due to connections, but I'm sure her insights will definitely be invaluable going forward. We will continue this series on subsequent programs, so thank you for being with us here. And don't forget, once more, you can watch us on our website at www.loveworldplus.tv or go to any of the online stores to download our app, Love World Plus, or watch us from home using your strong decoder and with the settings on our website. My name is Henry Williams, and as I always say, only Africans can build Africa. God bless you, and see you on our next edition. Bye-bye.
Issue on the African been seeing the politics of succession in Africa and the crisis of stability and power. How critical is this?
Police arrested 41 people for the violence in Johannesburg, while 8 others were arrested.